Man, I took that money, man. I went and bought a truck, the rims on it, you know, did everything that a 17, 18-year-old would do, man. I had, you know, rims, sounds, clothes, everything, man. I had phones. Back then we had two-way pages, so I had like two-way pages. I was like just doing the most, right? I blew the money that my dad gave me or whatever within like the first 2 weeks. It was gone. The first property that I ever did that kind of like started like my whole real estate career back in 1998. I was a senior in high school. This property was owned by my dad, and my dad was in a position where he wanted to sell the property. And so before we sold the property, I used to manage it. And the way it looks now and what it was before looks completely different. So at first, basically what it was an office with 3 like retail stores on the street. And then behind the building, were 3 houses. That's how big the lot was. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, and then a 1-bedroom, 1-bath house, right? And he had a big ass garage. He had a 10-car garage because my dad was like really into cars and shit, right? So I'm managing the property, you know, collecting the rent, you know, doing the applications and stuff for, you know, prospective tenants and stuff. I'm like managing this shit. I'm in 11th and 12th grade, like managing a property, right? So I managed that property, then I was managing another property that he had. Taking up all my weekends were spent like working there and shit. After practice, I would go run over there and have to, you know, do some stuff or whatever for one of the tenants or something for him. Cause you know, my dad didn't give a shit about me playing on sports. So he decided he wanted to sell one of the properties, right? I was like, all right. So he was like, find me a broker, sell the property, and, you know, sell it. You know, and I'll give you a piece of the action. I was like, oh, for sure. I didn't even know how much money I was gonna make. I'm just like, oh, you know, whatever, you know, piece of the action. So I went online. Matter of fact, they didn't even have online. I went in the yellow pages. That's where I went. I went in the yellow pages and found, started calling.
What year was this?
Man, this was 1997, 1998. I mean, we had the internet, but it wasn't like what it is now on Google and Yelp, where you can literally just go find it. You know, it wasn't like that back then. So I went in the yellow pages and I found, you know, local commercial real estate brokers. And so found this guy, won't even say his name, black guy, worked at actually, I think they're still around, pretty big company. And he came and listed the property, put it on the market. Had the property on the market for like, damn, 60 days, man. Now at that time, I didn't know nothing about real estate or whatever. My goal was to go to school, get out of high school, go to college, play ball, try to make it to the league like every other nigga's dream. And then from there, go to law school. I wanted to be an attorney. Like damn near everybody in my family is an attorney, right? Or at least went to law school. So I'm managing this building. I find a broker, working with the broker and everything. And finally, it got to the point to where we fired the broker because he wasn't bringing any business, right? So basically what we did was we put up our own sign on the building, you know, for sale. And so a guy was driving by the property, contacted us, and was like, hey, you know, it just literally random. Saw the property or whatever, wanted to talk to you guys about buying it. So again, my dad puts me at the point to talk to this guy. I know nothing about real estate. I know nothing about any of the stuff that needs to be talked about. And so essentially the guy was like, you know, I'm interested in buying the property. So I talked to my dad, told him the price and everything. You know, my dad was cool with it. And so I asked the guy, I said, so what do you guys plan on doing? Because what happened was that he came to the property several times with, like, you know, some of his partners and some contractors and architects and stuff like that. So I'm like, what is this guy doing? So it's basically, he planned on literally knocking everything down that was on the property as it stood and rebuilding it, right? Rebuilding something else on it. At the time, I didn't know what it was. Yeah, so as the guy is, you know, telling me everything that he plans on doing to the property, I'm like, whoa, I'm like super intrigued, right? And so at that time, I was reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, right? I'm 17, 18. Although I may not have showed it when I was in school or whatever, I wasn't like the best guy when it came to like grades and shit like that. But I loved to read, not fiction books either. I loved to read like I was reading like self-help books when I was like 17 and 18, right? Because my dad always had me reading. He literally would make me read stuff, right? So I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So the guy's talking about, what he plans on doing with the property. So I said, literally naturally just came out of nowhere. I said, I asked him, would it be possible for me to kind of like work with him on the project? And at the time he was like, he didn't really, he never had really considered it because, it was never even a thought in his mind that I could even approach him with something like that. And so I said, look, if you let me work with you on this project, I'll talk to my dad about maybe reducing the price and giving you a better deal on this property. He was like, oh, okay, definitely. So long story short, what ended up happening was that for my effort in lowering the price on the property and sweetening the deal for him, he allowed me to have a stake in the property, an equity stake in the property, right? So I had a 20% equity stake in this particular property. I wasn't involved in any planning or anything like that in terms of like the property being built, how they planned on building. These guys had already had that stuff lined up. I was literally just like a fly on the wall. So sure enough, the property sells. My dad get his money, give me some money. Didn't know that he didn't even know. That's the funny thing. He didn't even know that I had set the deal up with the dude. I just came to my dad and was like, yo, Dad, I was like, the guy says because of, I don't even know what it was, like because of X, Y, and Z, he needs to lower the price of the property. And so at the time, my dad was like, he just wanted to get rid of it. He was like, whatever. All right, let's just get it sold. So that's how we got the price lowered. And then on the flip side of that, I negotiated a deal with the developer that he didn't know about. So I ended up, being having a 20% equity stake in the deal. Guys end up building a 16-unit affordable housing apartment building, right? The whole building is Section 8. Bought the building, did the construction. Construction was probably around, I think we spent around, well, I'm saying I didn't spend any money, but I think it was around like about $2 million in terms of doing the construction. And so from that property, my equity stake, I still receive residual income on that property to this day, right? But what happened was that was the beginning for me in terms of like really understanding how real estate worked and really how the world worked and how economics and things like that work. So right now we are in LA. I call it LA. The news people, they call it South Central, South LA, whatever, but it's LA, on the east side. So this is the first property that I ever did, that my dad let me sell, that actually started my career in real estate, period, in general. So I'll show you, we won't be able to go inside. All the units are completely occupied, but I can kind of like give you the whole breakdown of the property and how it all started and stuff like that. So the concept behind building this particular property was that we wanted to build affordable housing, low-income housing, because it's always, it had always been a shortage. And the company that bought the property and who even started it, they were a nonprofit. So their goal was, all they built was like affordable housing and stuff like that. So that's how they came up with the concept of the building. And so you figure most people who live in affordable housing are Section 8, they have kids. So, in some cases, multiple kids. So instead of building like 1 and 2 bedroom units, we built 3 and 4 bedroom units, right? So this right here used to be this used to be like an office. It was a 1-story office right here. And then going all down this way, it was all like commercial. It was all like retail spaces. And they tore it all down, and we built this right here.